Modern life often keeps the human nervous system in a state of high alert. Between financial pressures, complex relationships, and constant uncertainty, the brain remains locked in a survival loop, scanning every environment for the next potential threat. We tend to operate under the assumption that we must wait for our circumstances to improve before we allow ourselves to feel appreciative. We treat happiness as a secondary reward that only arrives after we've secured enough money, status, or possessions. However, a brain trained to scan for problems becomes highly efficient at finding them. Even when you achieve a major goal, a mind wired for survival will immediately locate the next deficiency to worry about, ensuring the feeling of enough remains out of reach. Gratitude functions as a deliberate neurological exercise that targets these specific survival circuits. Rather than a passive reaction to a good day, it is a tool used to manually adjust the brain's internal settings. By intentionally practicing this emotion, you can modify your baseline physiological responses. This process allows you to influence your own brain chemistry and shift the internal framework through which you experience your daily life. This shift begins with dopamine, the chemical responsible for motivation and anticipation. While dopamine is released when you receive a physical reward, it is also triggered the moment you consciously recognize something of value. This diagram illustrates that specific internal reaction. When you direct attention towards something you appreciate, a signal travels to the reward center, triggering a dopamine response. With repetition, this pathway grows robust, making it easier to identify similar positive experiences in the future. Simultaneously, the act of reflecting on a positive memory or a moment of connection stimulates the pathways associated with serotonin. This chemical is a primary driver of emotional stability and feelings of peace. That physical sense of warmth or contentment you feel when recalling a loved one is the result of these chemicals flooding your system. It is a tangible, measurable biological event. These chemical changes serve as a defense against chronic stress. When the brain perceives uncertainty, it interprets the situation as a threat, triggering the adrenal glands to release cortisol into the bloodstream. While cortisol is necessary for short-term survival, chronic exposure is damaging. High levels of this hormone over long periods can impair your sleep, your ability to concentrate, and even immune function. This visualization illustrates the physiological counterbalance. By signaling safety, the brain downregulates cortisol. As the scale tips into a parasympathetic state, heart rate slows, muscle tension decreases, and the body's repair mechanisms function more effectively. Regular practice creates a biological buffer. It protects the central nervous system from the friction of modern life, which is why those who practice gratitude consistently report lower levels of perceived stress. Gratitude influences the brain's physical architecture through the reticular activating system, or RAS. This system strictly filters incoming data. By looking for things to appreciate, you train your filter to a new focus, noticing positive cues that would otherwise be filtered out as noise. This continuous filtering process drives neuroplasticity. The adult brain is not a static organ. It physically adjusts its structure based on the thoughts and emotions that are most frequently repeated. Every moment of appreciation acts as a reinforcement for these specific neural circuits. Over time, the pathways dedicated to identifying solutions and opportunities become thicker and more efficient. Conversely, defaulting to a focus on what is missing reinforces the circuits for scarcity. It makes feelings of fear and frustration the path of least resistance for your nervous system. You are actively shaping your brain's architecture every day. Through repeated gratitude, you establish a state where resilience and optimism become the default neurological pathways for navigating the world. The combination of immediate chemical release and long-term neural rewiring changes how you interpret stimuli and react to daily pressures. A brain that isn't clouded by constant cortisol can identify better solutions, leading to more effective decisions and better long-term outcomes. To begin this process, the protocol is straightforward. Each night, write down 3 specific moments you appreciated during the day. Avoid generic ideas. Instead, focus on a unique conversation, a specific lesson learned, or a moment of quiet peace. The key is to spend a few moments actually feeling the emotion associated with that memory. You are using the feeling to communicate with your nervous system, providing the necessary signal for neuroplastic change. After 30 days of this practice, you will notice a shift in how you process information. By prioritizing abundance over scarcity, you begin to notice opportunities that previously felt invisible, allowing you to engage with the world from a position of calm rather than fear. Your brain is constantly adapting to the instructions you give it. You are the one providing the data. The only question is, what are you teaching your mind to look for today?